So welcome to our Apple Regional Training Center session today, all about creating with clips. I'm hoping to take you through some of the foundational skills and then additional things that you can do with clips to enhance your video creations in the classroom. So here's an overview of what I'm aiming to cover. We'll do some just brief introductions on clips and then hopefully get to do a bit of hands-on exploration. I've also pulled some sample videos from the Apple education community made by other Apple educators to give you an idea of some of the things already being done in the classroom with clips. And then just referencing quickly at the end some things about everyone can create, and then I'll open it up to any questions. So my name is Lindsay Stuttard. I'm a digital teaching and learning specialist for ACS International School here in the UK, and I'm also an Apple professional learning specialist. Our Apple Regional Training Center comprises of 3 schools that make up the ACS International Schools group here in the UK. If you want to follow us, our Twitter handle is @ACSRTC, or mine as one of the managers @LindsDive85. Also our school website and the email address to get in contact regarding this or any future trainings that we offer. So let's talk briefly about what is Apple Clips. So in its simplest context, it's a video creation tool for iPad for schools, or also for any iOS device like an iPhone. And it's a very simple and straightforward tool to use for video creation. It's aimed at making things quite accessible for students and for teachers to make their own video creations, and also to enhance them with some of the additional features that Clips offers. So if we think about a video creation progression in terms of using an iPad, the way that it might be introduced to teachers or to students is to first become very familiar with the camera. And then it would be moving into using clips as sort of the next step of how you would progress with making your own videos. And then after mastering clips and what you can do with clips, it might be then going into more complex tools for specific edits or content changes that you want to make through iMovie. So again, the camera is very much learning how to take a basic video and where that file can then end up. Using clips to bring additional content, whether it's photos or videos, together to make a reel, and then enhancing it with extra effects. And then really looking at iMovie for those advanced editing skills for video making. So things such as doing split screen, picture-in-picture, or green screen can be offered to users through iMovie, but not necessarily through clips. So those are some distinct differences between the video creation tools that are available. So now let's take a look at some of Clips for iPad's specific features. You can bring in your own photos, you can bring in text, you can add stickers, bring in your own videos, make your own posters, add emojis, put live text in. You can do live recordings or live photographs in the app. In some cases, depending on your iOS device, you can have memojis or AR enhanced backgrounds, such as if you have an iPad Pro or an iPad or device that allows for LiDAR scanning in AR. And then being able to bring in different soundtracks, whether it's music you've got from your iTunes account or from the built-in content library that is available within Clips. So these are really the main features that allow you to enhance your videos just a little bit more. And I'll be able to take you through how some of those features work a little bit later on. So if we were to open Clips, and I've just put sort of a stock image there rather than you looking at the floor or a desk, this is the simple interface that you're greeted with once you start to make a project. And I'll go through some of those different features, but this is another really nice thing, especially for younger students to start making more complex videos, is that the interface is really quite simple. It's very visual. There's no text words to confuse them, especially if they're not native English speakers. And it's a really an easy interface to work with. So there's not a lot of ways that students can go wrong with this. If you have a consistent approach and confident teachers, we've had children at our school as young as our 3 to 4 year olds actually towards the end of their academic year starting to make their own clips projects. And they like it because it's bringing their original photos in, their original videos that they take on campus into clips, and then adding the little enhancements as well, which allows for an expression of their personalities and the things that they connect with the most. So let's break down what it is that we are seeing when it comes to clips. So at the top, and again, this might be dependent on your iPad, changing the orientation of if it's a 4:3, a 16:9, if it's vertical, horizontal. And then using that music note, you can also then bring in your different soundtracks. Now, soundtracks, there's going to be a variety of them. I think there's over 50 now with different genres to choose from. So picking different soundtracks is a great way for students to add sort of that emotion or that feel that they want to convey to their audience who's going to be watching their video of the type of mood. And that really relates nicely to things like novel studies or literature discussions. It's also where you can then bring in any of your iTunes music as well. We then have the ability to work directly within clips rather than importing from our photo collection. We can either take a photograph or take a video directly into clips, and being able to flip the camera from the front to the back and back again. Again, depending on your device, if you've got one that's got flash capability, the flash will be available as well. The big pink button, as we like to call it, is being able to record the length of a clip live as you're making your project. So this can be with a pre-brought in photograph or video clip, and you can record the length of how long you want it to be. Now, it used to be with clips in the past that you had to do that process for every piece of content you wanted to bring in. So you would go to your camera roll, you would select a photograph, and you would then hold that pink button to record the length that you'd want that photograph to appear in your video. And you'd have to do that with video clips as well. And I think feedback likely from the education community to developers has been, actually, that's sort of a cumbersome process. Can we simplify this? And now with iPadOS 15, you should be able to just select multiple photos and videos directly from your camera roll and bring them in without having to then record the length of what you need. So I think that's really handy. So the pink button is still there if you want to do any recording specifically, but it's also not instrumental anymore in having to make a clips project. So the little star does allow for the addition of special effects to enhance the different pieces of content that you bring in. So if you've got photographs you've brought in, if you've got video clips you've brought in, if you've got posters that you make within clips, you can then add these little enhancements through the special effects star that you can see there. And we'll have a look at those in just a moment. And then down at the bottom, that icon with the images allows you to go into your camera roll and select what photos and videos that you've pre-recorded and pre-taken and bring them into your clips project. So those are really the main fundamental tools that you and your students will need to know how to use in order to work seamlessly with clips. Now down at the bottom, the all being share button that we have there then allows you to take your clips project and put it somewhere else. This could either be taking the clips project and converting it to a video file and saving your video file in a specific location. It might be uploading to YouTube or putting into your files or putting it back into the camera roll or uploading to Google Drive or OneDrive. My only thing with the video exporting, that sharing process, is if you export your video and you want to come back and make changes to your project, you can do that as long as the original photos and videos are still in the camera roll. So this is always my advice to teachers and especially to students as well, is when you're finished working on a clips project and you're not going to go back and make any more changes, save it to your camera roll. Because if you need to make changes to it later on, you can re-import the whole project back in as a video. But if you delete any of your original content that you brought in, it will delete itself from the clips project file. So there's just some important distinctions to know about as well when working with clips. Right, so jumping to the other side of the screen, the top left-hand button allows you to view your previous clips projects. So if you've not made any, likely all that you will see is just the plus to make a new clips project. But if you've made previous ones, you can go back in and see them in there. And again, if anything has been deleted from those previous clips projects that live in the camera roll, you'll likely see little exclamation marks in the timeline at the bottom that something is missing from the project. And then down at the bottom is where you can play your current clips project. And what will happen is on the screen, you'll see your project play out. And at the bottom, you'll see that progression in the timeline as it moves from clip to clip, from start to finish. And the timeline at the bottom is also where you would select your clips and rearrange the order, sort of shuffle the order around as well. Okay. Lovely. So jumping in now to some of the extra features. So again, some of these will be dependent on whether or not you have different type of device that would support this. First off would be the memojis feature, where you can layer a memoji right on top of your face and block you out, and that would be your memoji from sort of the neck upwards, and that memoji would mimic your speech and facial patterns and so on. So it's a nice fun thing if you've got the capability doing that with younger children to allow them to have a bit of role playing, or if you yourself don't want to appear in a video that you're doing, you can always do that as well. I've skipped over one of the features because I think this is less likely to be used, but next to Memoji down in the bottom left-hand corner there is sort of a three-dimensional cube, and that is for LiDAR scanning capable devices to bring an AR background into your clips project and layer content directly into the space that you are filming in. But next to that is filters, and filters will allow you to layer a filter directly onto a photo or video that you've brought into clips. And this is a nice way to then, much like adding mood with soundtracks, that you can sort of change the mood or the feeling or the style of your project to give it a different tone. One of the most popular features for our school and our teachers in particular in the foreign language department is the ability to use live titles. And this means that as you are bringing your clips in, you can record them, you can then layer your voice as audio, and that audio that will then be converted into text. And the text will then play as the video clips progress. Now, you can mute yourself and not have your voice on, or you can have your voice on in addition to the text being shown. And I think the accuracy is about 90%. So if there's a word that maybe you misspoke, or the dictation didn't pick it up quite right, you can go back in and edit it. And this will also recognize different foreign languages. So if you're making videos for maybe a French class or a Spanish class or an Arabic speaking class, that can then pick up that language and write it for you natively. So again, some people may have the option of adding different scenes, which is like a layer on top of what you are creating. It may be dependent on the type of device that you have. And then we have our text. So these will act like little text boxes, but with a bit more flair, that you can layer into a photo or a video. So this is really handy if you're doing specific scene descriptions, or you want to draw students' attention to something that can just appear right there on the screen. There's a lot of different styles, fonts, and colors to choose from. So it's really quite fun to go in and play and explore with those. And then we come to, I think, everyone's favorite feature about working with clips, which are the animated stickers. Now, there'll be a variety of different options within stickers to explore. Some of them will be relating to specific global events that will happen, such as International Women's Day. Some of them will relate to specific holidays that happen, such as Christmas, or most recently there was Diwali. I think there's been Cinco de Mayo in the past. So you'll see stickers that relate to those different areas. And then you'll also see some stickers that relate to television shows that come specifically streaming through Apple TV. So the first one that you can see right there is from a new television show, an animated series called Wolf Boy and the Everything Factory. And then further down, you'll see some of the more popular ones, such as Ted Lasso. There'll be some stickers from that television show as well. And these are really quite fun because the stickers will do some form of animation. And if you're not interested in the specific characters that are in there, you can scroll all the way down and there's arrows, there's sort of frames that will wrap around something in your scene. And it's a great way to draw attention to different things that you want your students to focus on, or for students to use to raise awareness of something they want their audience to focus on in the video as well. And then lastly, you have the emojis that you can bring in, and it's just a variety of different ones. They'll sit like little stickers in the scene as well. So one of the other things I wanted to share is if you wanted to do something specific with that pink button to record live, this is a great way to take maybe a photograph or a video that you've brought in or are bringing in, sorry, excuse me. And while it's recording into clips, you can then zoom in to draw focus for your students on something specific. And then there's also the option if you want to zoom out. And so that zooming in and zooming out will then be recorded as a clip into your project. So let's take a look at how we do that. So holding the button down, and I'm stretching on the screen to pinch to go and zoom in. And then when I'm finished, I can press the pink button to stop recording as well. Now you could also zoom straight back out while recording at the same time. But it's a nice way of really getting students to focus on something and adding a little bit of a visual presence for them. And then down at the bottom, you can see that is the video timeline that I referenced previously. So you can see all the previous clips, either video or photo, that have been brought into the project. So let's take a look at some of those samples from the Apple education community. The first, and I won't show you all the length of these videos, you can view them online if you so wish, but just showing a little snapshot of how other teachers have used clips to demonstrate specific things. In this case, it's walking through the tutorial of a particular concept. So that one was using screen recordings and content from a lesson that was being done in Keynote, but as you could see, there were the live titles happening at the bottom. Right, photography.
On this episode of Encyclopedia, the rule of thirds. The rule of thirds is one of the most basic composition guidelines in visual arts used by most photographers, cinematographers, and painters. In its most basic form, the rule of thirds says that you should imagine a tic-tac-toe board on the frame of the picture.
So there we can see some arrow stickers in addition to the live titles that are happening.
But the rule of thirds also helps with placing larger items in the frame by placing them along.
Okay, mathematics.
Complete this sentence with the first thing that comes to your mind.
Posters, so making a poster as well.
You may already believe that you can learn from mistakes. And brain research shows that this is true.
Again, more live titles, but shaking it up with some of the different options. Okay, let's take a look at geography. So using text, using live titles, and lay it onto content that's been previously brought in. And obviously we've got a really fun soundtrack to liven this content up. Okay, history. So we've got posters and live titles again. And bringing in some of those text stickers. And we've got a few science ones. I think there's probably quite a popular tool is using clips to demonstrate things in science. So that one was a really good example of using posters and different ways to break up the things that you're discussing in your video. Another science video, the water cycle. So the images are an animation that was done in Keynote, brought into Clips, and the teacher has added those text stickers as the video progressed to demonstrate the different things that were happening. If you're interested in using more social media, how you can support your personal learning network, by using social media and making it more accessible.
Tip number 3, add descriptions to images on Twitter. Social media is rich with images. This can be a problem for blind and visually impaired individuals. Twitter now allows for these descriptions. Let me show you how. Here I am about to post a picture to Twitter. Notice it says add description in the bottom left-hand corner. After pressing add description, I say what's in the photo.
Okay, and computer science. So there we've got emojis, we've got text stickers. And changing up some of the styles as well. Okay, so we're going to switch over now. I'm going to move from my laptop to my iPad and go ahead and share some of the things in Clips, and you can have a play along as well as. Right. So I just want to start first with when we're making our projects. Oh, lovely. Excellent. Thank you. When we come in, we want to then select to do a new project. And you can see here's 2 previous ones that I'd made. It also will give you the length of the video, which I think is quite nice as well. So we're going to make a new project. And then what I want to do first is just show you how you could bring in different photographs from your camera roll, which I think is the most common way that people will approach using Clips. So we're going to go in and you've got 2 options. You've got posters. We'll come back to that in just a minute. And then we've got photos. So if I go in now, I've just pulled some random scenes here. I'm just going to go ahead and tap on them. And as you see, it's selecting them. But while it's selecting them, it's also numbering them. And that's indicating which order they're going to be in when they come into Clips. And then at the top, we can click on Add. So now there they are. If I press play, what Clips has done is, oh, apparently it doesn't want to play while I am zooming. But what it will do is it will determine the length. Excuse me, I don't know why it's done that. Apologize, I got myself in the way there. what it will do is it will then determine the length for photos around 3 seconds. And so each of these photos will come through standard at about 3 seconds. Okay. Now, while I've got these in here, if I want to add any effects to them, I'm going to select the clip that I want to make the effect to and click on effects here. Right next to effects, you'll also notice that there's audio. This is for the sound. So if there is sound detected in a video clip that you've brought in, or you've done a live recording and it's picked up your voice, you can either leave that on or you can mute it. For photographs, it will automatically mute because it won't detect that there's any audio. But let's jump into effects now. And I've got the text, which I can stretch that up a bit, and you can see all of the different text options that you have. So I can bring one in like this. Just add something fun. And then I can make it quite big, really quite big, or I can put it small and just up in the corner. You can also go back into effects and go to the stickers option just right there. And again, I can have a scroll through of all the different themes. So we've got hello in different languages. We've got some words in Portuguese and Spanish. Just some kind of chill, relaxed, kind of like the music for this nighttime scene that we've got here. I might put that up in the corner. We've got Pride from 2022, the Snoopy Show, International Women's Day, and then stickers that relate to Apple Fitness, health and wellness. And then we've got Apple TV's Ted Lasso. And then we move into some of the different shapes. And these ones are quite good for drawing attention visually for students at something you want them to specifically look at. So I'm going to bring one in now. And again, you'll see downloading happen with the stickers. That will happen just the first time that you go to use a particular sticker, and then it will just be available as many times as you need to. So there we go. I've brought them in. And if there's one I don't want, I just do a long hold on it and I can delete. So I don't want that one. Delete. Now the arrow, I want them to be looking just right there, for example. So there we are. I've added some stickers in here. And if I don't know if it'll actually play, but let's see. It will do a little bit of an animation there. Now, I think while I'm zooming, I don't think it's going to let me have that working. Okay, so let's click done then. Right, next one. Again, you can go back into effects. I'm going to go all the way to the bottom now. And there are also some updated animated emojis as well, which those are quite fun to bring in. Trying to see where they have gone. There they are. So let's put some stars up in the night sky. Lovely. Might put this little emoji in as well in the corner. Okay. And so I can repeat that process for every one of the pieces of content, whether it's a photo or a video, directly into my clips project. So I'm going to click done now because I'm finished working on those, and I want to go into the media icon again, and this time we're going to click on posters. Now in posters, I'll just go back to the top. You've got different themes, and the nice thing here is clips. It used to be that you had to update the app every time that there was new content available. And the nice thing here is we don't have to do that anymore. It will just automatically come through on clips. It won't require you as a teacher or your students to have to go in and get updates pushed to them. So that is for posters, and that is for the animated stickers. Anytime there's a new content group that comes through, that will be pushed automatically. So we've got Diwali, we've got Halloween, we've got different gradients available. We've got solid, those sort of bold colors to really draw your attention in. And we've got some basic ones. And then it starts to get into some more customized areas. So you've got different occasions or celebrations that you'd be celebrating. Then we've got some photographic ones as well. Vintage, cinematic, abstract, graphic ones, and that would be the end. And all of these will have some form of little animation to them or little customization. The only thing we can't do is change some of the features in here. So say, for example, I don't like the yellow background. I'd prefer it to be blue and I'd like red here instead. We cannot customize to that extent. What we can do is change what the font says. So let me go ahead and pick this one, for example. Okay. And I'm just going to tap to change the font. Okay. And so while that post-it is there, I'm going to go and hold the pink button to record it. I'm hoping while I'm zooming, it will allow me to do this. And I'm feeling no. So we should be seeing the little animation showing up. And I think because I'm zooming at the moment, it's not going to allow me to do that. But that would be how you would then add a post-it in. So lastly, we're going to go up to our soundtracks. And again, you've got your My Music section, which is pulling from your iTunes account, if you've got one, as well as your soundtracks. Now, the first time that you come into Clips, you'll likely see pink clouds and arrows to download that content. It doesn't take up too much space, so I always recommend just downloading all of them at one go so that you don't have to spend time going in and downloading one at a time. You can just do it all at once. And they're broken down into different genres. So you've got pop music, you've got playful, fun music that's quite upbeat, got more of a chill, kind of relaxed group here. Some sentimental, it's going to be a bit more instrumental type music. Retro, so throwing it back to different genres that have come before. Action, really high intensity type of songs. And then your holidays and events. So there's really quite a lot to choose from. And this used to be one of the big selling points for Clips over iMovie, because originally with iMovie, there were only 8 different soundtracks that you could choose from. And I think now they've actually taken one of these great things from Clips, which is all these soundtracks, and have applied it to iMovie as well. And then anytime you come into your audio, if you see one that has a pink dot to the side, that's a new addition from Apple into Clips. So much like the stickers and the posters that have come through with different updates just in the background without you needing to do anything, new music will come in as well. And you likely will have noticed that there are some big name composers that have given some of their songs into here, such as Hans Zimmer. So if we take a listen, see if that comes through. Don't know if you can hear it or not. It might be too soft of a sound. Yeah, I don't think that's coming through. But in any case, I always like to let students, and even when I have teachers here doing workshops, is just to go through and have a listen to the different songs. And it really is quite good because it does then shape your mindset around, well, how is this going to impact the feel that I want to get for my video? So if you're doing something that is really upbeat, such as reflecting on a field trip, you maybe don't want to have sentimental music. You want to pick something that maybe is action or pop so that it fits with the messaging you're trying to get across. Now, once you've picked a song and it's got that pink check next to it, then we can use the back arrow. And that will then automatically apply to the length of your Clips project. It doesn't require you to have to put it in multiple times, which for iMovie you do have to. This will just naturally fill the length of your project, and it will phase itself out towards the end, so you don't have to do any of that part either. So that's really quite fun. Okay, so we've got our project. I've added the different pieces to my different clips. One additional thing I wanted to highlight is the ability to use what's called live titles. It was a bit tricky to try and do this during the Zoom, so I'm adding it in extra now at the end. So if we go to, again, the star here, and we go to our live titles, this then allows you to record your voice as you are bringing content in, and it will change your voice using dictation from audio into visual through text. There's a lot of different options of the way that your live titles can come through. So you've got really simple fonts, which I think are really helpful for students, but also different ways that not only the placement of the text can be, but additionally, if you want the text to be highlighted as it's being read, if you want it to progress up, if you want it to come through sort of one word at a time, and then more of the bold options. Now down here at the bottom, you've got other languages. So if you've got other languages that you speak, or you want to use this with a language that you teach, you can come in and select this. And it may be that you have to just enable dictation the first time in your settings and set the languages in dictation that you want it to be able to recognize. So I'll just do a quick sample now with this one. Thank you for attending the Clips workshop today. I hope it was helpful for you. Bye. And so you notice it's not 100% perfect. So I can come back in after to edit the text, which is right there. So I click, I'll just go through that again. Click on the clip, go to Effects, Live Titles, and then you can edit it. And this is where you can come in. Oh, it did fix it in the end and change it to BYE. But if you wanted to put punctuation in, or if there was something that was missing relating to your language that you wanted to adjust, here's where you can come in and change that. And there we have. Thank you for attending the Clips workshop today. I hope it was helpful for you. Bye. And I want to go ahead and save my video here. You can do some different options, such as if you wanted to export the project, the Clips project itself versus the video, that will change the format of the file that comes out. And it will then allow someone else to download it into their version of Clips on their device. Depending on your iPad you may get aspect ratio options and orientation as well, if it's coming through as a horizontal or a vertical video. But for the most part, I think you can just leave those options just as they are. And then you choose the location you want it to be. Right, and that is really an overview of Clips. I'm just going to jump back in now to Zoom and jump over here to the presentation. Okay, so some final thoughts. I really recommend, especially if you're new to video creating or to using Clips, is to take a look at Everyone Can Create Video. I think it's one of the first projects in there relates to how you can use Clips with students. And not only does it decompose an entire project into very simple steps, it also lets you know what other tools might be needed or things for students to plan for, such as if they needed to write a script out or think about storyboarding. There's those recommendations as well. So I will just open it up now if there are any questions.